just taking attendance right now, just make sure we have a quorum, so just keep talking. I mean, fellowshipping.
I thought we needed 40. We don't have any special business. Oh, it's just electing members? No. She's fitting 9 months. I thought I said form of 40, but we have 40 now. We just got it. That's only for voting. Okay. Okay. All right, okay, there we go.
All right, looks like we're just got enough people for quorum. A reminder that attendance is so important. It's just like school again. And sitting at the front. Why is Jeffrey back there? He's a pastor. yeah, everybody likes sitting at the back. The most vocal people are at the back. That's kind of ironic. Oh, the hecklers. That makes total sense now. Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming. We usually start these at 1, so we weren't quite prepared, but 12:37, that's an early one, so that's good. It's crappy weather out anyways, so whatever. Might as well do a meeting. So, yes, thank you for everybody for being here. Had Tim down as being the opening prayer, and welcome. You want me to do it? Oh, of course he does. That's the discipleship part of him. Darn it. All right, let's open up in prayer. Thank you, Lord, that we could all come here, a family of members of your church, not Departure Bay Church, but your church as a whole. As these years have gone on, I can't imagine being anywhere else with anybody else than the people that have graced the doors of this church. Thank you for them. Thank you for this membership. Thank you for the growth that it's seen over the years, for all the people that have come, for the people that have gone. In your name, amen. We do have our quorum, so just a note here about the previous minutes. They've been posted online with our upcoming agenda. If everybody's seen those, it'd be if there's no changes or omissions that we need to amend, if there's a motion to pass the previous minutes as so given, would someone make that motion? Larry Wall make the motion. A seconder, Bill Souls. All in favor? Do we even say anybody against? Anybody against? Okay, good. We don't show any correspondence. That means no letters have been sent to the church. And then we move right into membership as our number 6 point. Is anybody coming to speak to the membership stuff? Hold it, Marissa Price is on here. She makes coffee. She's in.
Yeah. I can... Yes, so for the first 4 names on the list, so Jeff and Natasha Monroe, we'll start with the first 2. Ron and I had the pleasure of meeting with them, and we'd met them numerous times before. Most of you would have seen them around helping, serving. Their eldest daughter, Olivia, was up here leading kids' time this morning, so this family has been very engaged in our church body here and loving the body and the community. And we were just overjoyed to be able to speak with them and get to know a little bit of their story. And it's clear that they love the Lord. They've been walking with him for many years, and the Lord led them here. And Natasha is also serving as our admin assistant. And so we would be more than happy and thankful for them to be members. So certainly Ron and I support their application for membership. And likewise, Carl and I then met with Adam and Marissa Price, who also just a young couple, both Carl and I, older guys now, talking to this young couple, remembering, reminiscing, oh my goodness, what it was like. Yeah, that's right. And it's just encouraging to see this young couple who loves the Lord and how the Lord led them here to us a little over a year ago as well. And both of them hearing their stories and how they served as well in larger churches in Kelowna and the giftings that the Lord has blessed them with. It would just be, for Carl and I, it was just a joy to get to know them a little bit, and we too wholeheartedly recommend them for membership. And I think, Pastor Jeffrey will talk about Peter and Lori Price.
Perfect, thank you. Peter and Lori Price is dad and mom to Adam Price, so Adam and Marissa here, and then Peter and Lori. Adam, Peter, and Lori are in Kelowna this weekend for a wedding, and they're on their way back today. They picked up a piano for us on the way back, so they're coming back from Kelowna. That's why they're not here. But Tessa and I met with Peter and Lori at our home, and we had a good conversation with them and got to know them a little bit more. They've been coming to our church for close to 2 years now, and going through a little bit of rough patch in their life, but very encouraged to be part of this body and supported by this body and welcomed by this body. And they are happy to be members here, and we don't see any reasons why not. And they are baptized by immersion. So.
And actually, I just realized perhaps I should get all of those being nominated for membership to rise up. So perhaps Jeff and Natasha, if you wouldn't mind standing up so people can know who we're talking about there. And yes, and then, and yes. Fantastic. Thank you. You may sit down now. And Marissa, if you would stand up. This is Marissa, yes. And then, All right. And I'll pass it back to Nathan.
If anybody else needs encouragement, just stand up. We'll cheer. Anybody suffering today? So the next step would be we need a couple of scrutineers, people to grab the ballots, hand them out, count them, and report back to us. Do we have 2 volunteers that would be willing to do that? Oh, Tessa. Oh, okay. Well, volunteer or voluntold? Sharon. Sharon, that's great. Yep, we're up here right now, and there's a jar full of pens. I don't have to say, please give us the pens back. We're in a church.
We only have one from here.
Oh, yeah. Got a couple pens up here. Oh, sure. We usually do that. Yeah. I think there's a discussion already, didn't we? With you talking about it?
That's true. Oh.
Yeah. At this time, we usually ask the people that we're nominating or balloting to leave the room so that we can talk about you behind our back. Yep. Yeah, I know it sounds like a weird thing, but apparently this is what we do. Just to get a glass, put it to the door. Yeah, exactly, 2 dishes.
Maybe open up the floor if anybody has any questions.
And does anybody have any questions regarding these memberships at this time? Many questions. Oh, we got another John there. Not seeing any questions. Pretty straightforward. Thanks. Oh, I guess we need one too. Did you get one?
Oh, yeah.
Are we? Do we have any more ballots? Well, seeing that there's no questions, we might as well gather the ballots at this point in time as well.
Grab a ballot off the YouTube.
Oh, there we got one more ballot. I got one. I'm good. You do have one. Yeah. You want to collect it as well, I guess? I'm ready for that.
I have a bunch.
Cool.
Oh, may I give you mine, Tessa?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys both didn't get one, hey?
We did. We got it now. Yeah, I voted. Yeah. Anybody else have any ballots that need to be picked up for our scrutineers? We just call them back in the room now, or do we have to wait till they're done counting?
We can invite them back.
Yeah.
Or when
We might as well invite them back into the room now. If anybody would like to, or Sharon, would you like to tell them? You're allowed back, yeah. That's funny. Yeah. If Sharon made a good point. If you're going to broadcast it on the TV, there's no point in having them leave the room. Yeah. Only at departure bay, eh? We said so much stuff that you don't even know. Oh, jeez. Gotta love that part of life. It's just funny. Yeah, I got a J-Lo butt chair. It helps me because I got a big butt. And just so you all know, this shirt I wore it. No, I didn't lose a bet. I actually purchased this myself. My wife even laughed. She's like, "You're gonna wear that, like in public?" I'm like, "Yes." So yeah, this is salmon. The salmon's a mighty fish. That's all I know. So yeah, pink salmon. Yeah, pink salmon. That's right. We'll go into reports right now. Anyways, lead report. There will be our lead pastor, Tim.
Thank you, Nathan. Hey, I really appreciated your prayer, Nathan. Thank you. And yeah, this gentleman embodies the prayer that he gave this morning. So it's been so good watching you grow. Hopefully I've been growing too. Oh, I just want to mention, some of you didn't get the clip cord read around. I saw your names weren't on there, so we're gonna just send that around again. You could just put everybody's name on there, yeah. So I just want to give you the June the 5th. It's going to be Getting to Jesus in a Conversation is the title on June the 5th, and June 19th is Starting a Bible Study with a Friend. So those are the two titles. I knew that would really help you want to sign up. We really do need 4 more people to sign up, so it would be great to have more, obviously, but I'd love to have 4 more in there. That would be excellent. So a couple of tools that maybe you've heard before we're going to be sharing, but maybe forgot about, but some of them you might not have heard before, and they can be really helpful in having a Jesus conversation with somebody. All right. Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And verse 33, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. Some of you are living that right now. You know that this day has enough trouble of its own. You don't need to look at tomorrow. And I would encourage you to do that. Just live today. Trust in the Lord today. And for all of us to seek first the kingdom and his righteousness. And then he will add all the good things to our lives as well. Well, you know from our last meeting, let me just kind of read my notes. Kelly and I have stepped out in faith and obedience to the Lord to be in the harvest full time, to be training and equipping the body to be in the harvest, and to being in the harvest myself. And that'll begin January 1st, 2025. Since that meeting, apparently I was going on faith at that point, we have been appointed as Fellowship International Missionaries. So yeah, it's all official now, which is great. We just have to get my picture in and my bio. I told them a few weeks ago, I said, am I going to have to join YWAM or something? Like, come on, get your act together. So I don't think that helped, but they did get it figured out. So in this role, I will be practicing, training, and coaching believers in making disciples. The Lord willing, we'll gather people in homes, in restaurants, coffee shops, and in time, praying that they would become simple churches and growing churches to the glory of God. My role with Fellowship International, they had to make some excuses for a local Canadian guy to be a pastor to Canada. So they've given me a national and an international role as well, with training and coaching and mentoring others across Canada and around the world. But I let them know quite clearly that my first assignment is here in Nanaimo. And then as I have the time and space, I want to see God working powerfully here, and I want to play my part in that, God willing, but then also Vancouver Island, BC, Canada, and then the ends of the earth. One example of local is Rock City Elementary School. We've had a relationship with them now for at least 10 years, I think. It's got to be at least 10 years, yeah. One year we had a group of grade 5 kids come into our youth group here, and Kelly and I were leading at that time. We were in between youth leaders, and we were pulling out our hair. Like, they were the worst. So I went, you remember, yeah, they were throwing pizza everywhere and all that kind of stuff, pulling the fire alarm, breaking windows. So I went to the principal at that time. I think his name was Mike as well. The current one is Mike. Patrick, that I went to high school, was the principal there for a while too. But I said, what are we doing wrong? And he just went like this. He says, I'm retiring early because of these grade 5 kids. They were just a handful. So I felt great, like, okay, it's not just us, but the kids are changing. The dynamics are changing. And so he invited us into the school right away to start feeding kids. And so we started, I think, once a week, something like that. We did lunch once a week, and then lunch every day, and then breakfast as well, too. So we ended up, until COVID, doing breakfast and lunch 5 days a week. And many of you were volunteers there. Youth for Christ got involved quite quickly at the beginning. I like to get things started and then step out of the way. So I think Tessa was the first director. Were you? Yeah, Tessa was the first director of our food ministry there. And then, of course, when she went off to Cape and Ray, I think, and got married to that other guy, Jeffrey. Then we've had a few. Alicia DeVries led that for a while. And then now we're just slowly starting to get back in. They want us to help kids read. So the principal said, we got a few volunteers already. Awesome, good, thank you. Good, so please email me if you're serious about it, and I will put you in touch with Kaylin. It might be too late for this year because, the kids are already a gong show at the end of May, but it might not be. So I want to get some things in place for the fall because I've got a sabbatical in September, so I won't be available, but we need people. And now the food, the way it's working right now is being brought in from someone else. It's all ready to go. So the only thing they need is somebody to kind of sort that out for breakfasts and lunch. But Kaylin would really like some help with that. So it's not as much as before. But yeah, if you're interested in that, please talk to me about that as well. Okay, that was one line in my notes that turned into that. In a few minutes, we're going to talk more about the timeline of what the remainder of 2024 looks like with my role and Pastor Jeffrey's role as well. Recently, Gabriola Island has really been, the church there has kind of been turned upside right for making disciples. That church has been kind of insular and lots of old people and not really any desire or training in how to make disciples. Barb Ballantyne, some of you remember Todd and Barb, she took our training in 2020 online. It was all on Zoom at that time. She's just an entrepreneur and she's like a ball of fire. So she's training her church in these principles and practices. They meet every Monday night for prayer. They're meeting every second week going through a disciple-making book together. And if that's not enough, Barb is also training Coastal Light, used to be Coastal Missions. So that whole crew, she's teaching them in these disciple-making principles as well. One of the directors of that mission said, I don't want it just to be tea and cookies when we go visit people. So they're learning how to teach people to study the Bible, and to become disciples of Jesus. So that's pretty cool, what's happening there. Graham and Catherine joined me over there for a disciple-making training a couple of weeks ago, and we just had such an encouraging time. The group was blessed. We prayed together. We prayed out at the point where you can see Entrance Island, just, praying God's blessing over the whole place. People were amazed, excited, delighted. I was able to teach them how to pray for people just out in the local market. Every single one of them was astonished that the people they asked if they could pray for them, most of them said yes, and we prayed for them right there. Because Gabriola is such a small island, they knew the people that they were praying with. So sometimes that makes it kind of awkward, but because they had, Graham and Catherine and I, who had done this before, they just came along as a silent partner kind of thing. Oh, and Barb as well, she was one of the trainers, and it was just so beautiful. We were meeting we had a time of prayer in a home, a lady who's like, I think about 90 years old, mostly totally deaf. I don't know how much she heard about our prayer time, but I just feel led that we need to pray over her, so we went and prayed over her, and I asked, how can we pray for you? And she's like, I just want to go home. So I was like, I don't feel comfortable praying for you for that today. I'm actually really good at that prayer. I told her that. Lots of people die within 24 hours of me praying for them when they've asked for that, which is awesome. Yeah. I got lots of faith for people to go to heaven. Anyway, she didn't want that. She's been in the hospital since, but she's back. She's bounced back. And I said, you can't die because you are a prayer warrior on this island, and we need you until we have replacements for you. I'd love you to still be here. So she really appreciated that, and we just had such a good time. So those are the kind of things I want to do 40 hours a week, which is why I've stepped out to do what I'm doing. They're doing other stuff too, but we can share that another time. Graham and I also went to St. Catharines in Ontario recently. We took a training called Four Fields, and it was, I would say, the best training that I've been to. Carl and I went to Chicago 2018, 2019, something like that, and that was an excellent time as well. But this training just kind of put it all together for me. It might not have been that it was better, but I've grown up a little bit. I've learned a lot since, and so I really was able to digest it a lot better than I have in the past. We're trying to go up to VIU every Tuesday afternoon. So Cody and I, you see Cody around, he plays the drums, he's working with our youth ministry. Graham and Catherine and I, Peaceman, some of you have met Peaceman, he comes out with us as well. Ron's son Chris came with me one time. That was an adventure. And my son Evan and others have joined me. And it's just every time people are just blown away that these students will receive prayer and even hear the gospel. We share the Three Circles gospel with them. And then we have follow-up, lunch, coffee, texting. We haven't seen like the fruit of people coming to Christ yet, but we are seeing the fruit of relationships being built and seeds being planted. So that's, we're really, really encouraged by that. Please pray for the fall. We would like to join with University Christian Ministries up there as well. Julie heads that up this year. And so her and Graham and Catherine and I are going to get together and just talk about how can we partner together. We'd love to see opportunity for Bible studies for these young people that we come across. I met with Joanne Schroeder. Some of you guys know Joanne? Lawrence and Joanne Schroeder, yeah. She's been up at the university for 20 years, I would say, something like that. And so I wanted to pick her brain a little bit, and she said to me, Tim, 10 years ago, a kid comes to this school from middle of Saskatchewan, and, they come to university a couple provinces away, and they just get into everything, right? They've been sheltered their whole life. Now it's the, drugs, sex, and rock and roll, whatever, right? She said today, they come to school from that same rural Saskatchewan. They've already tried all that, these 17, 18-year-olds. Social media has been disastrous for them. They have no life skills, And so they're actually looking for people with the color that my hair is becoming to build into their lives. So even when this old guy is up there sharing Jesus, people want to talk. They're desperate for a parent figure, an adult figure in their life. So she said 10 years ago, someone comes into her office, it's just about academics. It's just about, hey, what's my next step? Today, they need a mom, and they're looking for a mother figure. So same with a dad as well, too. So please pray. I praise God that that's the opportunity today, but these kids need a lot of prayer. They don't have a lot of hope or a lot of meaning and purpose. That was one line, too. Just want to mention Jeffrey, proving to be very capable and also teachable as he prepares for what we're praying will be a good transition into his next role here. As you know, the board and I are recommending to you, our church members, and to the whole body that Jeffrey be appointed by us to the role of lead pastor. And in a couple minutes, you'll hear more about that process. It's a joy for me. It really is a joy to lead and to serve all of these years, 17 years since I came back to pastor this church, and then a joy for the remainder of my time as well, too. It's time for me to step aside, hopefully jump down a couple of generations, and have some fresh experience, some fresh vision for our church family. And I'm happy to do so, realizing how the Lord has provided for us in leadership. I'm confident that our mission as a church won't change. We have a new vision, and I know that we're going to be continue to, our desires to be empowered by the Holy Spirit, to see a body equipped to serve one another, and then reach out into the harvest to the lost. I want to thank you for being a gracious and a supportive and a wonderful place and people to lead and to serve. And I know that Kelly and I can count on you to continue to encourage us and support us as we take this step of faith into the new chapter and new season of our lives and our ministry, and our mission. So thank you so much.
It's good to know that if anybody's sick, call Jeffrey for prayer. Spring new life into you. It'd be great. We keep our membership up. Yeah, and the next person to speak for reports is Jeffrey. So that's great. Tim always gives me material. It's just it's too easy.
You want to do the membership first, or
We do this part first?
Yeah.
Do you want to announce it?
Well, we are very sad to announce, very, very pleased to announce that all the members, so Jeffrey and Natasha, Adam and Marissa, and then Peter and Lori have been welcomed in as new members. So give them a...
Only business thing left to do would be, we have a typical motion to destroy the ballots. There's no reason for us to keep it, but if anybody would make that motion to destroy them, go with Linda, I'll second her. Go Bill, or mix it up a bit. Chuck. All in favor to destroy ballots? I always have a hard time saying anybody against it. Wait. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Don't burn the church down.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I want to read Psalm 37, verse 23. It says, "The Lord establishes the steps of those who delight in him. Though they may stumble, they will not fall, for the Lord upholds them with his hand." I think it's a beautiful promise that I rely on as following Jesus and following the Lord, that he will never abandon us, leave us. He always pursues us and upholds us with his righteous right hand, says in Isaiah as well. It's been a joy to serve with each one of you here at Departure Bay, and I'm grateful for, again, God's love for us and for his work that he's doing in and through our church family. I've been hearing more and more about God's testimony in and through our church in Nanaimo and all over Vancouver Island. And God is at work and He is moving. Our confidence is in His strength, His activity, His name, and His hand. These last couple months have been full and busy and of good things, all pointing to a glimpse of God's faithfulness in and through our lives here and a testimony of His activity in us. Since our last general meeting in February, we had a weekend in Victoria where we had the Family Life Canada weekend marriage conferences. We were able to send few couples there again this year. And every year it's been a blessing to those couples who have been there investing into their marriages. In March, we had planned for a youth mission trip to Ahousaht, and that was, again, a lot of preparation and planning into that, and we experienced God in action. Tess and I were privileged to be on that trip with Janique and other leaders from the church, and really a wonderful trip together and wonderful evidence of God's work in Ahousaht through Jacob and Rachel and in our lives as well. And as I was saying, we went there with 14 Christians and one non-Christian, and came back with 15 Christians. And God rescued one of our own there, and that's just a beautiful testimony. With Ahousaht, we've been continuing to build relationship with them. This last weekend, we had a group that we met in Ahousaht in March come down to Nanaimo, stay at our church here overnight on Friday, and join our youth group and our youth team to Cape and Ray for the weekend. And from what I was there for one day, and Tim and Kelly were there for the other 2 days, and our youth team were there. And from what I hear, they had a fantastic time of building relationship, even exploring the possibility of Bible school at Cape and Ray as well. Jacob and Rachel had good conversations with the directors at Cape and Ray to see how we can partner together in supporting these youth from Ahousaht to further study God's word and be leaders, men and women of God, wherever God puts them. Jacob and Rachel's prayer is that these youth would be trained, equipped to come back and be Christian leaders in their community. And that's what they are praying towards. And so right now they have about 5 or 6 youth who have put their hand up to say, hey, we want to serve the Lord. We want to be missionaries and pastors. And Jacob and Rachel really want to encourage them. And I see our church playing a role in that. We have this partnership with Jacob and Rachel in Ahousaht. We have a partnership with Cape and Ray on Thetis Island. How can us as a church play a role in this 3-way partnership? Maybe we come around one student and say, hey, we will financially support this person to go to Bible school, or we'll pray for them, or we'll host them after Bible school for a couple of months, whatever that is, right? We have a beautiful privilege and an opportunity to step into what God is already doing, and that's a beautiful thing. For Easter this year, we had almost 2 full house services here, and that was beautiful to see so many people come to Easter services. And we had 6 baptisms on Easter Sunday. We did service 1, we had baptism in the middle, service 2, and that was just fantastic. People saying, yes, I want to follow Jesus, I want to take this step of obedience. We have also seen people give their lives to the Lord during Sunday morning services, on mission trips, at youth group, in Sunday school, and many more that we don't even know. And salvations are happening. And even last Sunday, I had somebody come up and say, you know what? When we did the baptism class, I checked, I'm not a Christian, but now I am, and I want to get baptized. And so God is doing and drawing people to Himself through this church. In April, we said goodbye to our Coleo students. Tessa and myself, and actually Natasha Monroe and her kids were able to join the Coleos for their graduation at Camp Quanos and celebrate with them. And they're a fantastic bunch, and we pray that God will use them for His kingdom. You'll be noticing in April, May, and June, Graham, Catherine, and Carol, whose students have been leading us in prayer every other Sunday evening. Twice a month in April, twice a month in May, and 2 more times in June coming up as well. And I would encourage you, if you haven't joined one of those prayer nights, to come on out. Spend some time in prayer, corporate prayer together, seeking what God is doing and saying to each one of us, and also bringing our petitions before Him as well. We're grateful for all, again, who are serving in various capacities. Again, I think the last 2 years or a year and a half ago, we had 75 volunteers doing something with our church community. And I think that number has gone up since then. And I'm so grateful for people who are willing to step in to serve in God's ministry here. Tim and I have been working closely over the last 3 years, really, and going through this pastoral changes this year. With Tim and Kelly becoming full-time missionaries with Fellowship International, the board has asked if I would consider taking the lead pastor role for Departure Bay Church. After much prayer, Tessa and I sense God's direction in this and have made ourselves available and willing to step into such role. And if that's your will, and if that's where God is directing, we want to say yes to that. My family and I are really excited and looking forward to what the Lord is doing and will continue to do in and through us. Please pray for me, pray for Tessa, and pray for our family, as this is really unknown. We haven't done this before, but we are confident in the Lord, and that's where our trust is. One thing I want to ask you a prayer is that we wouldn't be distracted by the evil one. I think these are the transition times is when we get distracted with the insecurities, inabilities, and all the doubts and what ifs. We want to trust the Lord and know His leading and be confident in that. And we're really grateful for each one of you and your encouragement and support in this season of our life and in life and ministry. And I want to thank you all for opportunity to serve and partner with each one of you here at Departure Bay. Thank you.
And now the report from our board chairman, Larry Wall.
My report is in the package that some of you had, so I'm basically going to be reading that. But I wanted to start off telling you a little bit about what's been happening in the Wall household in May. Is that okay? A lot of you have been asking about Ted. So Ted has come home early this year, and we sent him off a few weeks ago to have some surgery done in Mexico. And he came back, and a lot of people were praying for Ted, just that the surgery would go well, and all of the things leading up to the surgery, and all of the things afterwards. And Ted and we are overwhelmed with how the Lord has answered prayer. Ted is doing so much better than we expected, and every bit as well as we might have hoped. So those that are praying and caring for Ted, thank you so much. That is just a real answer to prayer. The month of May every year is busy in the Wall household because we have Mother's Day. And then we have an anniversary in May. We celebrated Linda, my wife's 51st birthday just a few days ago. And our 71st anniversary also this month. Sometimes I get the numbers mixed up, but anyways. And then also, May was kind of a banner year that we've been talking about for many years about getting that portable roof done. And we got it done. That's so awesome. So thank you to those that supported in that. And we've noticed over the last couple of weeks, we're getting a brand new floor in the back there. So May has been a very, very busy month. Kind of typical of what's been going on in the church. And as I move into my report, the year started off with a lot of activity and growth as we enjoyed the benefits of God's blessing here in Departure Bay. We've seen God's hand at work in the lives of so many people, and we sense His direction on where we're going in the days ahead. At our recent board workshop a few weeks ago, we worked through a number of key items and want to report that to you today. In view of God's revealed calling on Tim and Kelly to missions work, the board wants to commend them into this new line of service, working under Fellowship International, starting full-time with them in January of 2025. And Pastor Tim will remain with us until September this year working through various transition details for that, and mentoring Pastor Jeffrey. And as they've said, leaving a healthy, happy, capable body here in Departure Bay, ready to carry on the Lord's work in our community and around the world. Tim will close out this year after September as paid staff under a transitional sabbatical until his departure in 2025. We've been enriched under the faithful ministry of Tim and Kelly for so many years, and pray for God's best blessings in his calling on their lives. It's our intention to send them with our encouragement and continued support in their future missions endeavors. A farewell send-off will be planned for them sometime in the future. I should mention that when Tim first mentioned that he was considering moving off into missions, we weren't really that excited about it because things have been going so well at our church. Our church is healthy, the Spirit is moving, God is blessing. And to hear that Tim was wanting to step into a different role didn't really make us jump up and down for joy with excitement. Because we have just come to love Tim and Kelly and their family over the years, and that initial shock was just met with a bit of resistance. But as we thought about it and recognized that Tim is being led by the Lord, how can we not stand by him and just encourage them and bless them in this new calling? And so as a board, we eventually came to realize, yeah, this is the right thing. So we want to commend you and Kelly and all of the things that are ahead. I'm sure it's going to be an exciting ride for you and for us as we make it through the transition. So in God's providence, knowing our needs and knowing the future, as he does, he's brought Jeffrey and Tessa into our family. And we've come to love them and their boys as they have both served faithfully since they came to us a few years ago. We've enjoyed the pastoral partnership between Jeffrey and Tim, as together they have sought to lead us into God's calling for our church. Jeffrey, in the few years that he's been here, has proved out his capability as a pastor through that partnership, getting to know us and effectively leading us in all areas of his pastoral role that he's been called to. Recognizing God's calling and gifting of Pastor Jeffrey, the board unanimously recommends that we commission him as lead pastor effective September the 1st this year. The membership will be asked to participate in a vote on this recommendation on June 23rd, save the date, at an extraordinary membership meeting called for that purpose. On the agenda there, you'll see coming up in a little bit timelines and stuff like that. So the board does have a timeline for when these various steps of transition will happen. They're all tentative, waiting for the Lord's affirmation and your vote. It's your privilege to be called into action to share your voice on what we are planning for the church, to affirm that it's actually the Lord's will and your desire as a church. So we do have that coming up. We've seen the benefits of a dual pastorate and realized that the task in a vital, healthy, growing church requires more than we can expect just one pastor to fulfill. As the Lord leads and provides for our needs in this regard, we're expecting to also recommend other new staff to support the overall pastoral leadership needs in our church. If the vote on the recommendation to move Jeffrey into the lead position is affirmative, we're going to be needing additional staff that will enable him to focus on the primary responsibilities of his new role. And we're asking the congregation to uphold these future needs in prayer as to the financial demands and God's choice for the candidates to step into this role. An increase in giving will be one way of evaluating the Lord's provision for future staffing requirement. I just want to throw that in there so Ron doesn't have to, make a play on that. By the way, Ron will probably commend the giving hearts of the many people in our church. We have such a great bunch of givers, and it's obviously a gift from the Lord. And we have seen the Lord working in your hearts as you give so many times to the financial needs and just what he is doing in the church. So thank you so much for that. The agenda for our board workshop also included a response to the recent town hall meeting on considering membership for candidates that have been baptized by modes other than immersion. The town hall meeting was very well attended, surprisingly. My wife tells me that they weren't expecting so many to show up for that. And it was attended by very many members and non-members alike. And the overall majority of feelings that were expressed favored the possibility of potential candidates that may have been baptized by other modes, that they should be considered for membership and shouldn't be excluded from consideration. So under amended guidelines and bylaws, the board could be given freedom to recommend such candidates for membership, but that would only happen again by the final vote of the church membership. So as we look at that more carefully and refine the requirements of the process, you can look forward to a recommendation from the board on how to proceed on this whole thing. So we appreciate your contribution to that conversation, and I look forward to what is coming ahead of that. It's such a joy for me and my family to be a part of this church. We've been here for a long time, and this is our family. You're our brothers and sisters, and we just love the way that you have undertaken for us as a couple and as a family, and the privilege of being able to have a voice on the board is very special to me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Larry. I'm one of the young guns that was giving him trouble years ago. Look at me now. Yeah, I'm still that guy. Yeah, Ron Bradburn for financial report is up next for our reports.
Good afternoon. As usual, you are using up some of my nap time right now. So, and as for prayer, my track record is not very good. Most of the people I know that I've prayed for have either died or will die. So, save that the Lord returns. That's my, I suppose that's biblical. Okay, you want to just change the slide? Yeah, you go one more. I just copy and paste these things from every year or so, or every month, every quarter or so. Yeah, I just wanted to say this. We have this United Way project, and I'm not sure how many people know what that is, but through the magic, I'm not sure it's magic, I'm in church. Anyway, Bram the clerk discovered that there's a community award program. Our federal government, in their great largesse, have $400 million made available to various people for various things. Brom discovered this, and Jeffrey got to work, and we made an application for $70,000, which blew my mind, and we actually got the $70,000. So that's what the United Way project is. And we're using it for all sorts of things. The new flooring in the back, in the fellowship room, is being paid through this, which I thought was pretty imaginative. Jeffrey tells me that it's hygienically improved, and I thought it was an acoustic enhancement, so it's all supposed to be helping our outreach to the community and to ourselves. So, if nothing else, it makes my life miserable, because I spend extra hours trying to account, because our accounting system is equally miserable. So I spend a lot of time. Nadine will vouch for, sometimes she says, will you come and spend some time with me? Yeah. Anyway. And the problem is that once I put my mind to doing something, I can't go do something else, because then I have to restart it. So once I'm on track, I go. So anyway, I was just showing here that during first quarter, we were supposed to draw down, we anticipated drawing down our bank balance by $12,000, and actually the balance increased by $3,500, which speaks to Larry's point about generosity. Lest we think we're really doing well, I just spent yesterday writing checks for $20,000. And $4,500 of that was for Ted. So Ted Wall, on the 1st of June, we send out our mission checks for the quarter, and Ted will get an extra $4,500, which you all provided, and which Dave and I are so joyful having to account for it. Anyway, next slide. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to point out our rental income is pretty significant, and some of it's rental income for this use of the church itself by various, I think there's 2 schools, and various people do rent it out. So almost 25% of our income in the first quarter, or actually to the end of April, this is not a first quarter, this is to the end of April, came from rental. Next one. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that we have $70,000 from the United Way project. It has to be spent by the end of June. Jeffrey is actually quite amazing at spending money. He scares me sometimes. But nevertheless, I said here almost $60,000 has been spent by May 26th. But that was before I got the last invoice for grinding the floor. So now we spent $61,400. So Jeffrey, you've got 4 weeks, maybe 5. You got it done? He's probably got an expense account for it already. Anyway, you know what? As a taxpayer, I'm kind of not happy that the government's giving out money like this, because it's coming from our pockets. But since they have already put it out, it's pretty neat that we got to spend $70,000. And a lot of our electronic systems are enhanced because of that. Yeah, this just shows that, our 2024 income includes $8,900, which you folks raised for the house at a mission trip. And we didn't spend all of that money for the mission trip, so we ended up sending $2,250 to Pastor Huang, Jacob and Rachel, through Fellowship International. So that money was all directed to the mission. Yeah, let's just go, like you've seen all this, so just, I don't think we need to go through all the details here. Let's keep last one. Okay, So that's just a summary of some of the significant expenditures during the first quarter, actually through the first third of the year. I did want to say the quote for the daycare roof, we had a physical quote from a roofer, was for $17,500. And I wrote a check for $7,600. So we saved $10,000 by doing it ourselves, and thank you to the men. Thank you to Larry, because Larry, I don't understand how he's still allowed to climb on ladders.
Give me that mic. I just wanted to say that I didn't do the roof myself. I was actually
No, you didn't do it.
I was actually the right-hand man for John. He's sitting in the back corner, and I just wanted to thank him for his help in that project. Thank you, John.
Stand up for Jesus. So I think it's pretty significant that we can do things like that. The flooring, correct me if I'm wrong, Jeffrey, but the flooring is being done free of charge by a gentleman from another church. So that's not a small job. So I'm sure that would cost, I think the tile was $7,500 or so, and it probably would have cost that much and then some for the labor to do it. So that's really great. And I just wanted to close. We decided we'd pause our negotiations, which have been going on for 4 or 5 years with Rogers on the cell tower. We have an opportunity to consider how we might want to use our property in a different manner. So it's on pause. It's not kiboshed, but it's on pause. Oh, any questions? Surely there's no questions.
And do we have any other reports? Nothing down here. If there's anybody giving a verbal report, I wasn't sure if there's anything anybody might have missed. For me, on the coffee side, I think in the last year and a half, doubled the amount of supplies that we use for coffee. So it's up there. I think the last invoice I had coming through, our last list of supplies from Level Ground to Ron was surprising. It's always fun spending someone else's money. It's so good. I hear you, Jeffrey. We're good. We got this. We can spend. Any questions or comments from anybody on anything right now? Report regarding? If not, we'll move on to a motion to accept all reports as given. If we can get a person to make the motion. Oh, Bill put his hands up. Bill's everything. Yeah. Seconder, got Ricky Merriman or Dave. Second. All in favor to accept the motions as given, or reports as given? Anybody reject? No, like, do we really have to do that part? Now, this eighth part says DBBC pastoral transition process. I know we talked a little bit about this. Is there somebody coming up to address the topic directly under point 8 here? There's transitional timeline, new pastor candidate, next steps, town hall, extraordinary meetings, extra.
So we expected there might be a few questions about some of the things that we brought to you today. Most of those questions, I think, have been answered in the reports of Pastor Tim, Pastor Jeffrey, or myself. As I mentioned, we do have a timeline in mind. But are there questions about that? One of the things that comes up there is a town hall meeting. The purpose of the town hall meeting that is coming up on June the 12th, is that the right date? 12th? Is for Pastor Jeffrey to get better known by the congregation, not only as a pastor, but what has led up to his calling and opportunity to take on the lead pastor position in our church. So we're expecting that people will be able to direct questions at Jeffrey and Tessa about how they're feeling about this new calling. And we want to make sure that everyone gets to know them well and is prepared to vote on a recommendation on June the 23rd. So there's a bunch of steps that are happening in there. For example, there's Pastor Tim's last Sunday. What's happening to him and his family between September and the end of the year, and the sabbatical that he'll be taking. How the training is going with your understudy, Jeffrey, and the readiness for the transition there. So are there any questions about these items that we can help you with today? Good. Oh, no. There is one. Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. So goes number 8, and we'll move on to number 9. Thanks, Nate.
Number 9. Number 9 down is baptism and membership, deacons board again. Update from town hall. So that was from the meeting that we had. That was well attended in the back there. Was there somebody speaking directly to that town hall meeting on baptism? Oh, does anybody have questions on it? Okay, I'll just open up the floor to questions on the town hall meeting and any future steps that we have towards that, I guess, change of our bylaws. Is that what we're looking at doing? Does anybody have any questions on that topic? It was a fairly well-attended meeting, and I thought it went quite well. I must say, personally, like I had all these things going on in my head because I'm nuts, but coming into the meeting, I was like, had a lot of predetermined things, and then in the meeting, I was about halfway through the meeting, I don't know what it was, it just calmed out, and it was like, okay, we're good. I just felt that we were where we needed to be. Question? What's the next step is the question.
Yes, so we heard all that was shared at the meeting, and we were quite pleased again at how peaceful and amenable the meeting went. And at this point in time, it'll be a matter of looking at how to change the bylaws in order to be able for the board to recommend members who have been baptized by other modes. Again, it's just a matter of changing some slight wording in the bylaws, because right now they're written in such a fashion that a potential member must be baptized by immersion. As we mentioned during the meeting, that will continue to be the process that we recommend as people come to faith within our body here, but for people that are coming from outside of our local expression of Christ's body and who'd like to be members who clearly know the Lord, are walking with him and show fruit of the Spirit in and through their lives, that the board can recommend them for membership. And then ultimately, it's again, as we saw right here today, the membership then votes them in. So it's just a change of the bylaw so that the board can recommend somebody, but ultimately the decision still belongs to the wider body as to whether they want such a person to be approved as a member or not. So that's the next step right now. Yes, Carl. Yes. So any change we make to the bylaws, of course, will need to be ratified by the membership as well. So, yeah. So, that's on my plate. So when I'm able to get to it. Yeah. But yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yes, as soon as possible, let's put it that way, but I will not define a specific time.
Yeah, I don't imagine too much happening in the next quarter, seeing as it's all summer vacations and everybody's out doing their thing, but that's just me assuming, of course. A lot of exciting things happening in our church in a very short period of time. It's nice to see progress. It's nice to see change. Sometimes it just needs to happen. Any other questions on that topic of baptism and membership? The only thing left for us to do would be to adjourn the meeting. If we, oh, Tim wants to speak. Of course, Tim wants to. Just about to end.
Real quick, hopefully. Transitions. We said goodbye to Bob Graham this month, and almost at the same time we said hello to the two little Merriman kids, Ricky and Krista's. Kelly and I got to see them on Friday, and oh my goodness, like just gorgeous. Two little peanuts, actually. That's what they look like. Oh my word. Some of you know Kelly and I were here from 2001 to 2004. And at that time, I stepped down and I just made that decision pretty much on my own. And then I went through some things, the church went through some things, and then I came back in 2007. And at that time, I said to the board, don't let me do that again. I'm not going to quit without talking to you about it first, and I would like you not to get rid of me without talking to me first. So we've had a long conversation about this over months and months, and came to that decision together that this is the right step for me. And what a beautiful time in our church for me to be stepping out. Often a pastor leaves when things are going poorly, run out of town or whatever, or just running out of town. But love it that we get to stay here in this community. Who knows what our relationship with Departure Bay will be like down the road. But initially, we need to step out so that Pastor Jeffrey or whoever it might be, can really establish themselves in that lead role where people aren't looking to me every time something gets said or where I'm not feeling like I need to step in. So I need to be gone, at least for a season, and we'll see what happens after that. So June 12th, we're having the town hall regarding Pastor Jeffrey. June 23rd, we're having the vote regarding Jeffrey becoming the lead pastor effective September 1st. And then on September the 8th, that's our plan right now for a celebration, saying goodbye to Kelly and I. And then the hope, pray for me that I'll be able to take a month off. I just want to get at it. So pray that I do take that rest. And that also during June, July, and August, I've got some things I really want to do in October. So I got to get those figured out before the end of August, or at least September 8th, before I get to those. So thanks. Thank you, Nathan.
And it's a topic that hasn't been broached at this point in time, but how are you doing support? Are you looking for individual support? I haven't heard anything about this as of yet. I didn't assume you won the lottery or nothing, so I'm kind of curious on that topic.
How much should I say? What's in my hula hoop to share? Yes. We are, it'll be full, it's a missionary, so we will be missionaries. And that's the way I grew up. My parents were with Campus Crusade for Christ. And so all of the money that we got as a family was given by people. And that's what Kelly and I are going to be transitioning into. As a pastor, it's similar to that. But there is the comfort of knowing that, the church has always given since the 1960s, and it's never been short. So there is that comfort. So stepping out as a missionary, I'm looking for a whole new group of people that are willing to support us financially so that I can do this full time. I will work at Starbucks if I need to, but would love to have the support of not just this church family, but our extended family and others around the world. Part of the reason why Fellowship International wanted me to be to have some national and international roles is it makes it it's easier for churches outside of British Columbia to want to support what I'm doing here in Nanaimo if I have a role outside of our little town here. And it's not that I don't have the skills to do that, but they wanted to be able to package that so that so it's more palatable, I guess, for others outside of our community here. So there's a couple of roles that they asked me to fill, and one of them I was like, you know what, I'm not actually qualified for this at this time. There's a few others already on that team who also know that they're not qualified, so they might still put me on that team, but there is another one that I feel comfortable stepping into, and so that'll happen in January 2025. And then what else? There's one more thing about that. Oh, no, that's politics. I'll talk about that later. Yeah, it was, oh yeah, Jacob and Rachel. So Jacob and Rachel, you might have heard through, I think, Ron's talk, is that they also are Fellowship International missionaries. So Jacob is actually a church planter with Fellowship Pacific. So our BC and Yukon region is supporting him as a church planter. And Rachel is a missionary with Fellowship International. So they just had to do that for the politics, for the optics. So one of them is a church planter and the other one is a missionary. And so our church planting, or part of our BC and the Yukon, is financially supported them. They haven't started yet, so pray that they get on the ball with that. And then Rachel is raising support as a missionary. So we've already given money towards that, as Ron mentioned. And then there's money from our Baptist Foundation that is set aside for church planting every year. And so Jacob is in that role. And so part of that whole political thing is what I just explained about myself as well too. So I'm going to be 100% a Fellowship International missionary, and there's the slim possibility that somewhere in the future, depending on how things go, that we might also have a church planter in Nanaimo. I'm hoping it's not me. I'm hoping it's somebody younger, more the energy of an ox than a, I don't know, old horse or something. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Tim while he's still here? Hit him now. And then, Dave?
Just a quick question. I know you said you and Kelly would be stepping out for a season. I'm just curious if your kids, or if you have conversations with them about possibly doing the same thing, or will they continue on as
Yeah, so one of the things we talked about with David Harita, the director of the fellowship, is the kids are old enough to make their own decisions on that. So I'm assuming that at least one of the couples will be staying here, and possibly all three. So they're not really talking about that yet, and we'll see what happens. I'd love to have a little Clausen home church, but I don't think that's going to happen. Actually, I wouldn't love that, actually.
I think we'd be okay with it. Seeing no more questions or comments, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at this time? Or we can stay all day? Dave, seconder? Linda? All in favor to adjourn the meeting at this time? All against? You can stay. Thank you.